In the deepest, most shadowed corner of the whispering woods, hidden by a constant veil of silver mist, stood a crooked old castle. It was a place of eternal night, and home to a very unusual resident, a tiny vampire named Luno. He was smaller than a lantern's flame, and had a heart gentler than a moth's wing, while the other vampires embraced the darkness. Sleeping through the day and reveling in the moonlit hours, Luno was different. He would spend his nights perched on his high window ledge, not looking at the moon, but gazing east toward the faint, mysterious glow that crept over the mountains just before dawn. He had never seen the sun, not even for a second, but its legend captivated him. Travelers spoke of its golden light, of warm breezes it brought, and skies it painted with fire and rose. And in his small, quiet heart, a deep and powerful ache began to grow, yearning for the light. Every evening, as the world outside his castle walls settled into slumber, Luno would whisper the same wish into the twilight. Just once, he'd say, his voice barely a breath, "I just want to see the sunrise." His mother, the ancient and elegant Countess Marana, would hear him and offer a sad, knowing smile. "My little star," she would tell him, her voice like rustling silk, "the sunlight is a fire that consumes us. It is beautiful, but it is not meant for our kind." But Luno couldn't shake the feeling. He wondered if the sun was truly so cruel, or if it only seemed that way because no vampire had ever been brave enough to greet it with love instead of fear. The curiosity finally became too much to bear. One night, fueled by a lifetime of longing, Luno made a decision. He would not wait for the sun to come to him. He would go to it. He tiptoed from his room, leaving the sleeping castle behind. For protection, he carried a small makeshift umbrella woven from bat wings and dark velvet, and clutched a silver pendant shaped like the crescent moon, a gift from his mother. As he ventured into the woods, the familiar night seemed to hold its breath. The forest whispered warnings on the wind. Wolves he had known his whole life turned their heads away, and owls, wise sentinels of the dark, hid their faces in their wings. But Luno pressed on, his little feet carrying him over moss and stone. Above him, the sky began its magical transformation, shifting from inky black to deep indigo, then blushing with the softest shades of rose and violet. His tiny hands trembled, not from fear, but from anticipation. He followed a winding path that led him up a gentle hill right at the edge of the forest. And there, by a babbling stream that caught the pre-dawn light, he saw someone. It was a girl, no older than 12, with hair the color of spun wheat and eyes that mirrored the soft blue of the morning sky. She was humming a simple, happy tune, dipping her bare feet into the cool, clear water. When she noticed the small cloaked figure, she gasped, her song catching in her throat. You're a vampire." Luno, shy and startled, instinctively hid behind his little umbrella. "Yes," he said, his voice small but steady. "But I'm not here to bite anyone. I promise. I want to see the sun." The girl blinked, her initial fear melting into pure surprise. "The sun," she asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "But it's dangerous for you. You'll burn." "I know," Luno whispered, peeking out from behind his shield. "But I've dreamed of it my entire life. I want to see the light that everyone else runs toward while we hide away from it." The girl tilted her head, a thoughtful expression on her face. A gentle smile touched her lips. "Maybe there's a way," she said, her voice full of kindness. She reached into the stream and plucked a large, waxy lily leaf, holding it up against the brightening sky. "See, it blocks the light. If you stand beneath enough of these, maybe the light will be able to touch you without hurting you." An idea sparked between them. Working together, the vampire and the human girl began to build a small, fragile shelter. They gathered more lily pads, broad fern fronds, and colorful wildflowers, weaving them together into a delicate canopy, just big enough for Luno to stand under and peek through the gaps. Just as they finished, it happened. The first golden thread of sunlight crested the mountains, spilling liquid warmth and brilliant color across the entire world. The morning dew on every blade of grass began to sparkle like a field of diamonds. The trees, once dark silhouettes, shimmered in shades of green and gold. And a chorus of birdsong erupted, filling the air with joy. Luno, watching from his leafy shelter, gasped. He felt a warmth spread through him, not of fire, but of pure bliss. It felt as though his own heart was beginning to glow from the inside out. It's beautiful," he breathed, his voice filled with awe. The girl looked at him, and her own eyes filled with happy tears. "Luno," she whispered, "you're glowing too." He glanced down at his hands, at his pale skin, and saw that she was right. He shimmered with a soft, pearlescent light. The sun hadn't burned him. It had touched him gently, like a long-lost friend, finally offering a warm embrace. In that moment, Luno thought that maybe, just maybe, the sun could feel the love in his heart and had decided to love him back. From that day forward, a quiet magic settled over the Whispering Woods. At every dawn, without fail, a tiny figure wrapped in a cloak of flower petals and leaves would stand on the hill, a human friend by his side. The golden light would fall softly on them both, and for a few precious moments the world was perfectly in balance. Even the shadows around them seemed to smile. It wasn't long before the other vampires of the castle noticed the change in Luno. He no longer feared the dawn. He seemed brighter, happier. Whispers circulated through the ancient halls. Some said he had been cursed, but others, the more curious ones, murmured that he had been blessed by the sun itself. Intrigued, a few of the younger vampires began to follow him, peeking out from behind trees and stones just to catch a glimpse of the wonder he saw. And slowly, like ice melting in the spring, the age-old fear of the light began to fade. One evening, as the first stars appeared in the twilight sky, the girl turned to her friend. "Luno," she asked, "aren't you afraid anymore?" He smiled, a wide, genuine smile that made his eyes glow like two tiny, joyful moons. "Not of the sun," he said. It only hurts those who don't understand it. It was never our enemy. We just never gave it our love. And when the dawn came again, he stood proudly beneath his canopy of petals, his face turned upward, eyes shining with unending wonder as the first light kissed the earth. The forest bloomed brighter that year, the bats flew with a gentler grace, and for the first time in centuries, the dusty windows of the old castle were thrown open, letting in the fresh morning air. For the first time in memory, vampires and sunlight shared the same sky. The story of Luno teaches us that true courage isn't about fighting monsters or facing great dangers. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is dare to love what everyone else fears. Thank you so much for joining us for this story. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales of courage and wonder. Until next time, find the light in unexpected places.